Good morning. Happy Thanksgiving. For you, Thanksgiving is long past, but it's the season anyway, and I am speaking to you on Thanksgiving Day, and then soon it will be Advent. Isn't that a happy occasion for all of us to really enter into the meaning of Advent in our world today? There's a lot of meaning going on. There's a thought that I would like to share with you this morning that comes out of preparing for Thanksgiving. We have a custom in our community that a list goes up at the beginning of the year, and it asks any of us to volunteer to give a talk on a feast day. And there's no obligation, but we are kind of expected to give a talk if we can and if we have any thought. So I waited and waited because I didn't have any thoughts. And finally I decided I had to sign up. So I signed up for Christ the King, which was, months down the road, and I thought, well, something will come. As I got closer to Christ the King feast, nothing had come. And I was getting pretty mad at myself for signing up in the first place. And I thought, oh, this is too big a feast to not have something really worthwhile to tell the community, talk over with the community, et cetera, et cetera. And you can bow out, but at that point I felt I couldn't ask somebody else to do it at such a late date. So I bit the bullet and tried to put myself in the position of listening to what Jesus might want us to hear on the feast of his kingship. I wasn't too sure anything really worthwhile was coming, but I did have something together to give to the community by Sunday morning. And so I gave the talk with a lot of misgiving. For some reason, I was rather nervous about it, but I gave it. And evidently, it was not terrible because there were a few comments that the talk was helpful. So that made me happy. But what really made me happy, beyond what I could even imagine, was that several days later, I found myself saying, thank you, God, for that talk. Thank you for giving me the words to say, because they meant a great deal to me. And they probably meant a lot more to me than to anybody who was listening. And that's often the case. But what occurred to me was, very often, God gives us gifts, but we have to unwrap them. We have to go into them. We have to dig in to the event or to the encounter, whatever it may be. And sometimes on the surface, it may be a very hard thing. Or it may be a happy thing. But if you go below the surface and try to understand what God might really be giving, it could be a very wonderful gift. And that's what I discovered in this. It became almost like a foundational grace for me. And yet I had fought it the whole time. I was not a happy camper doing this. And it became a burden, it became a worry, it became all kinds of things. And yet all the time, God was preparing to give me a wonderful gift. And so I'd like to suggest that all of us might try unwrapping the events of our lives and receiving the gift that is contained within the event. It won't be that obvious. It probably is not going to be the first thing that meets you. But if we move into the meaning of the events, the encounters, the reconciliations or the need for reconciliation, those things that make up our life constantly, we may find that we're gifted by God constantly. And so Thanksgiving is really what our whole life can be, constant. Thank you, God. Thank you. My sister had a way of always thanking God. And it would be kind of trivial. We'd find a parking place, and she'd say, oh, thank you, God. Thank you for the parking place. Well, this is going a little bit further in than that, but still that's not a bad habit to have. Thank you, God. And thank you for this moment of being with you all. And I wish you a blessed time of Thanksgiving and a very blessed time of Advent, preparing for God's next gift for you. Thank you.